Rams versus Minnesota. The game began with Sam Darnold throwing a touchdown, but the Rams were not going to go away, as Stafford responded with a touchdown pass to make it 7-all, but Darnold refused to go away just like his mono from kissing people, and threw another touchdown to go up 14-7 after one. But again, the Rams were like, hey, you motherfucker, we're not going to stop, no matter what you tell us, and Stafford threw another touchdown to Cooper Kupp, who looks like Jake Paul. Again, just a rookie mistake by Stafford throwing this interception. He'll learn from it as he gets more experience. The Vikings then took a field goal after an amazing catch by Justin Jefferson. If you look closely in the top left corner, you can see marijuana smoke. This is ultimately disturbing, and Commissioner Goodell needs to do something about this before somebody dies. Stafford appeared to get woken up, though, and he threw an amazing touchdown pass to number 15, who I don't feel like looking up, to give the Rams the lead. The Vikings responded with yet another field goal to make it a one-point game, but the Rams got touchdowns instead of field goals to go up 8. The Vikings would have several chances down 8 to tie, but their first ended in a punt, and their last ended with a blatant missed face mask call in the end zone, which gave the Rams a 30-20 win that they desperately needed. Atlanta versus Tampa Bay. Quickly becoming one of the most exciting rivalries in the sport. Kirk Cousins started things off with a long touchdown pass to Kyle Pitts in honor of National Tight Ends Day. No offense to Penn State survivors. The Buccaneers calmly responded with a touchdown pass from Baker Mayfield, who on this day had no trouble throwing the ball to both teams. The Buccaneers went up 14-7 before Pitts scored his second touchdown of the day, almost fumbling the ball away in Deshaun Jackson style, but the play was reviewed and the touchdown was upheld. Kirk threw an absolute dime, put Atlanta up by 7. Buccaneers kicked a field goal, but not before the Falcons responded with a field goal before halftime. The second half saw the emergence of bad Baker, trying to force his balls into places they aren't wanted, much like Ben Roethlisberger. Atlanta capitalized on his turnovers with another touchdown pass by Cousins, his fourth of the game, to go up 14 in the fourth quarter. Then Baker threw another interception to A.J. Terrell, but the Falcons fumbled the ball out of their own end zone to give Tampa a safety, and then Tampa responded with a touchdown to make it a 5-point game. Younghoe Koo missed a field goal, so the Buccaneers, despite everything, still had a chance on the final play before Baker literally threw the ball out of the back of the end zone. Don't worry, Baker. Hail Marys almost never happen, especially on this particular day, right? Right? New England versus the Jets. Drake May started the show with some sneaky athleticism. It would also be the reason why he left the game early with a concussion. It's almost Halloween, so the Jets started out dressed up as a team that looks good offensively, except for their kicker, who has single-handedly cost them about 4 games by now. Aaron Rodgers was pretty good in this one. The Jets had a 13-7 lead in the second half before Jacoby Brissett came off the bench to give the Patriots a fighting chance. You won't believe this, but Greg Zuerlein missed a field goal in addition to his extra point, so that's 4 points, right? 3 + 1 = 4. Patriots would end up having a 22-17 deficit late in the game before Brissett led them down the field for a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to give the Patriots a 25-22 lead with about 20 seconds left. Now, gee, that's a 3-point difference, but if the kicker did his fucking job, it would have been meaningless because the Jets would have won 26-25. Instead, they fall to 2-6, while the Patriots improve to 2-6. You can run from it and dread from it, but the Jets will always be the Jets. Green Bay versus Jacksonville. It was a quiet beginning to the game until Jordan Love did what he does, which is throw an interception. Bad Jordan. But Trevor Lawrence was being nice, and he obliged by immediately throwing an interception right back, which set up the Packers with their first touchdown to go up 7-0. They kicked a field goal to go up 10-0. Lawrence then had a hard-working, sneaky touchdown run to make it a 3-point game. The Packers' flight attendant respecting kicker made another field goal before the Jaguars answered with a field goal of their own to make it 13-10. Shout out to Wander Franco. Remember him? Anyways, the Jaguars went up after another touchdown pass from Lawrence to Brian Thomas Jr., who looks like a steal. The Packers answered with a touchdown of their own by Josh Jacobs to take the lead right back. And then Lawrence did what he usually does, which is to make a crucial turnover, fumbling the ball away, while Malik Willis, replacing the injured Jordan Love, threw an absolute dime into triple coverage to give the Packers a 10-point lead. So the game is over, right? Wrong. Following a Jaguars field goal, Lawrence threw an absolute dime to New York Giants legend Evan Ingram to tie the game with just under 2 minutes left. But they left too much time for future Hall of Famer Malik Willis, as he found Jaden Reed to set up another game-winning field goal for Brandon McManus to give the Packers a 30-27 win. Cleveland versus Baltimore. Oh, the Browns are lovable again ever since replacing their rapey quarterback with a less rapey quarterback. The game was a field goal batter early on before the Ravens took a 10-6 lead on a Lamar touchdown pass, but Jameis Winston, who is capable of good performances like this, had a good game, while Lamar Jackson Jackson had a typical game for him, which is pretty good. It was a back-and-forth battle as the teams kept exchanging touchdowns. Justin Tucker made a field goal to tie it at 20 in the fourth quarter. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, he didn't. He missed it. What the hell? Justin Tucker is supposed to be the GOAT. Looks like it's time to take him out to pasture, if you know what I mean. There was also a brutal, wide-open drop for the Ravens. The ball got lost in the sun. That goddamn sun will get you, which allowed the Browns to take a 6-point lead, but the Ravens took a 1-point lead with 2.5 minutes left. And then after a terrible dropped interception by Kyle Hamilton, Jameis threw another touchdown to give the Browns a 5-point lead, and Lamar's Hail Mary was incomplete as the Ravens dropped a shocker to fall to 5-3, while the Browns are now 2-6. Cardinals versus the Gay Sharks. Miami went up 7-0 early and then 10-0 early, looking like a completely different team than the one we've seen all year. But the Cardinals would not go away, which is starting to become a trend with them. The Dolphins had a 10-point lead when the game changed on a bad snap that resulted in a safety for the Cardinals. Cardinals then had a touchdown to get it to 2. They failed the 2-point conversion. The Dolphins responded with another touchdown to go up by 9, and everything seemed good and proper, except Kyler Murray then turned it on, finding Marvin Harrison Jr. several times, who's also the son of Marvin Harrison Sr., in case you didn't know, leading the team down for a score that ended in a James Conner touchdown run. Cardinals would get the ball back with 3 minutes left and wind down the clock all the way to kick the game-winning field goal to win 28-27. Luckily for Tua, he's had so many concussions he won't remember the final score. Philadelphia versus Cincinnati. Things started off grim as the Eagles gave up a touchdown while kicking a field goal. The Bengals, in their white power uniforms, that's so disgusting, had everything going well until their kicker missed a 54-yard field goal. And then it was time for a couple ass blasts that put Jalen Hurts into the end zone. Hurts had one of the best games he's had in a long time, both running and passing. You can see here he runs for a touchdown, which gave the Eagles a 17-10 lead, but the Bengals answered back like you'd expect to make it 17-17 late in the third before the Eagles took over the game. Hurts had the launch codes all the way for Devonta Smith to go up by 7. The Bengals were unsuccessful on fourth down. The Eagles made a field goal to make it a 10-point game. And then the Eagles had one of the best interceptions you'll ever see, swatting the ball back inbounds to a teammate. Unbelievable. Ass Blast 2.0 put the Eagles up by 17. They kicked the field goal to put the finishing touches on one of their most impressive performances in quite a long time. A 20-point win over Cody Rhodes and the Cincinnati Jungle Kitties. Detroit versus Tennessee. In my weekly preview video, I talked about how the Titans seem to get off to good starts every single week, and then they completely shut down over the last couple quarters. And boy, did that make me look really smart, because that's exactly what they did in this one. They had the game tied at 14-14 early in the second, and then the Lions just took over completely. Mason Rudolph fell back to earth with a couple interceptions. Jared Goff had 85 passing yards in this game, but also 3 touchdowns, but was also sacked 4 times. Really, the Lions offense didn't have to do much. Oh, and by the way, there was a halfback touchdown pass, a punt return touchdown. This game was really crazy, and the only common denominator is that after it was 14-14, the Lions ended up scoring 38 unanswered points to win the game 52-14. I predicted that they would win 42-14, but I sold them short. I'm sorry, Lions fans. Houston versus Indianapolis. A battle of the AFC South. Who doesn't love that? The teams began by trading field goals before Anthony Richardson had an amazing touchdown pass into a tight window to give the Colts an early 10-3 lead. But the Texans fought back, which is no surprise considering they have Joe Mixon and that's what he's known for. Richardson is literally boom or bust. I feel like 80% of his completions are either touchdowns or interceptions, as we see here, just before the end of the first half, which was a terrible throw which led to a Texans touchdown. The teams again traded field goals to make it a 20-13 Texans lead entering the fourth, where the Texans went up by 10. Richardson led a touchdown drive to cut it to 3 with about 8.5 minutes left. Then the Texans fumbled the ball deep in Colts territory, giving the Colts multiple chances late with a chance to win, but their first drive ended with a punt, and their last drive ended with a Hail Mary as Richardson took a sack. I'm telling you, Hail Marys, we're never going to see a successful Hail Mary ever again, folks. I guarantee it. Buffalo versus Seattle. Buffalo had their struggles on the road coming into this game, but they made up for it, which I also predicted would happen, although I kind of gave Seattle's offense a little too much credit, predicting that they would score 34 points instead of the measly 10 they did. Spoiler alert. The game effectively ended when Geno Smith threw a terrible interception around midfield, which the Bills then immediately marched downfield to make it a 21-point game. Then in the fourth quarter, Josh Allen started throwing the ball and doing some shit. They ran for a touchdown to make it 31-3 before the Seahawks had an incredible garbage time touchdown to reach the final score of 31-10. If this doesn't seem like I'm giving a lot of effort for this review, it's because there's not a lot to review. It just was a simple ass kicking. Get off my ass. Black Panthers Panther versus White Broncos. The return of Bryce Young started out actually well, with him throwing a touchdown to put Panthers up 7-0, but 35-year-old rookie Bo Nix was not having it, as the Broncos would then rip off 28 straight points, thanks in part to a terrible screen pass on 4th and 2. Why the fuck are you throwing a screen pass on 4th and 2? A terrible fake punt attempt. Again, why are you doing this? You want to be Dan Campbell so badly. And then, to top it all off, Young threw 2 interceptions back-to-back, late in the 3rd, early in the 4th. The Broncos were rubbing it in with some halfback passes themselves, and this actually ended up pissing off one of the Panthers players after the game when Sean Payton was doing his trademark lesbian run. Why are you making fun of me for being a lesbian? Chargers versus Saints. The game started off poorly for the Chargers as they snapped the ball out of the back of their own end zone on a punt, but they did respond by kicking a field goal to take a 3-2 lead at the top of the second quarter. They then expanded that to a 9-2 lead before the Saints kicked a field goal. But you know what they say, when you're losing and you kick field goals, you only bring yourself closer to losing. And that's exactly what happened when Justin Herbert found hardworking daughter dater Lad McConkey for a long touchdown to put the Chargers up by 11. And that was all they would need on this day. The Saints kicked another field goal to make it 16-8 going into the 4th quarter, but the Saints were never a threat. Spencer Rattler got benched. The Saints missed a field goal while the Chargers added a field goal and a touchdown. The Saints have now lost 6 in a row after their 2-0 start, after falling in this one 26-8. Kansas City versus Las Vegas. Unlike most of their games this year, the Chiefs actually started off well, going up early 7-0, but the Raiders said, hey, we're the Raiders, we're not going to give up that easily, responding with a touchdown and a field goal to go up 10-7 before Mahomes found Taylor Swift's dick appointment for a touchdown, which was a big reason why the Chiefs had a 17-10 halftime lead. If there was any chance the Raiders were going to win this game, it was midway through the 3rd quarter when Mahomes threw his daily interception on a tip ball. The Raiders had the ball inside the Chiefs' 3-yard line, but they ended up getting 0 points out of it, and then the Chiefs kicked a field goal to go up 7. Gardner Minshew fumbled the ball out of his ass. Then Mahomes threw his 2nd touchdown of the day to go up by 14, and even though the Raiders scored a late touchdown to make it a 7-point game again, we all know the game was over, and the Chiefs won, which is unsurprising to nobody. As they improved to 7-0, they are sleepwalking to a 17-0 season. Washington versus Chicago. Oh wow, this was a pretty boring game with nothing to remember. Field goal, field goal, field goal, field goal. Touchdown run? Let's just fast forward to the final 6.5 minutes. That's where most of the action was anyway. The Bears tried to reenact the Refrigerator Perry goal line touchdown run from Super Bowl 20, and it ended up them fumbling the ball in hilarious fashion and wasting a golden scoring chance. But they would get the ball back and score the go-ahead touchdown and 2-point conversion with 23 seconds left. 23 is a big number in Chicago, in case you didn't know. Anyways, this was a big win for the Bears. They went on the road. This is the type of win that changes culture of your franchise. And, you know, there's going to be a stupid failed Hail Mary attempt. And what the hell? What the fuck? What? No. There's no way. No fucking way. Are you fucking serious? Jesus. Well, at least the Bears players were all trying their best on that play and weren't distracted at all. San Francisco versus Dallas. A battle between teams that haven't won anything since Tupac died lived up to the billing. All you need to know about it is that after an early lead to go up 10-3, the Cowboys gave up 27 unanswered points, which featured another Dak interception and a couple touchdown passes from Brock Purdy, to the point where it was 27-10 early in the 4th quarter. And then that's when Dak did what he does best, which is pad his stats in garbage time to make it seem like it wasn't his fault that they lost, but really everybody who actually watched the game knows that it was. Despite how terrible the Cowboys played and how dominant it seemed that the 49ers were, the Cowboys actually had a chance with 3 minutes left to take the lead and win the game, but Dak Prescott failed, just like he will always do in big moments against big teams. He will fail. He will let you down because he is not that guy, okay? He's Tony Romo 2.0, which is hilarious that the Cowboys replaced the original Tony Romo with Tony Romo 2.0, stat padding losers who will never win shit. Pittsburgh versus the Giants. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I did not watch a single second of this game because I care about my health. Instead, I watched the Yankees and LeBron. And even though both the Yankees and LeBron lost on this particular regular night, it was still better than having to sit and watch these two fucking terrible, horrible teams. And I know Pittsburgh's record says they're 6-2 or whatever, but they're terrible. They're not going to win anything. This is just what they do. It turns out I didn't miss anything because the entire fucking first 2.5 quarters was nothing but field goals. And then it picked up a little bit. Russell Wilson made a couple nice throws for a touchdown. Daniel Jones responded with a couple nice throws and a long touchdown run. And then the single worst 2-point conversion play ever, maybe the single worst play ever in the history of organized sports, was the New York Giants 2-point attempt. I did not edit this, by the way. This is actually what happened. I cannot believe they did this. The teams then exchanged field goals, and the Giants had multiple opportunities to lead a game-tying drive, but this is Daniel Jones we're talking about. So, of course, the first drive ended with a strip sack fumble, and the last drive ended with him throwing a terrible interception. I hope the Giants never get rid of Daniel Jones. I hope that they sign Daniel Jones to a 20-year, $350 billion contract.